live. This is your host. Literally, this is the second time we did this. Sorry, folks. We are live. This is JP, aka the Demon, and we are here to talk about Shadow of Self. This is the second time that we've not only done this intro, but we're also the second discussion talking about this book.
Yay!
You can thank Eam the Dream for that one. But anyway,
clip it, chat.
Yeah,
we don't have chat because we're not live.
Anyway, we're actually live. But we are here.
You can't fully blame me. You guys were distracted for a while.
That is true.
That is true.
That is true.
That's true. So, anyway, it's all jokes, but we are here to finish the discussion on Shadow of Self, Book 2 of the Wax and Wayne series from Mistborn. And we're excited to talk about the end of it. Mm-hmm. So we've restocked, refilled, re-teed.
So let's reintroduce.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Josh the Cherry. How's it going?
Brett the Director.
Ben the Hitman.
Eam the Dream. So
dreamy.
So dreamy.
Cheers. You guys all drink.
All right, guys.
Cheers.
To Shadow of Self. Cheers. And we're back again to complete the discussion. So, we left off on a Brett bet, and I'm pretty sure, well, I'm not totally sure yet because we haven't edited it all yet, but we might have had, a little bit of video issues in the last 10 minutes or so due to our camera. However, our audio should still be there. But we were in the midst of a Brett bet. And I think we made our calls about the romance situation. Which the Cherry desperately needs an uptick in this book series. But we haven't talked a ton about yet the story. Just like the overall story. We got a little bit into it. But we all talked about how it started slow. But it wasn't until the end that we felt the true weight of the Cosmere, maybe.
Yeah.
In the book series. So I think now it's time to open it all the way up and talk about all of those topics, including the ending, which I think shocked me again. So
you're really selling the fact that you don't remember anything.
I must have read this book like you know how so I read a lot of books a year, but sometimes I'm like filler book kind of situation where I'm just like pumping a book out in the middle of like two other books that I deeply care about or something like that. And this must have been that scenario.
So
hey man,
a side book.
It was my side book.
You got no complaints from me. I read this book this week and I still don't remember most of it. So I think
Wow, it sounds like you really like this book.
I do really like
it.
It's just really, really hard for me because it's really hard for me to stay focused while I'm like trying to get work done and audiobook. So that's my main issue, I think.
It's really, really hard for me to listen to a book that I like.
It is. It's hard.
Manny, that was a little passive aggressive, I think.
I don't think it was that passive.
That was pretty fucking straight up aggressive.
So, I love the scene. Not to break up our joke about aggressiveness, but I do want to get to the scene. So the bar scene.
Yeah.
Wax goes bonkers, chases potential. What was it, like Pa Anat or Shah Anat? What was the Condra's name? Do you remember the Condra that
Bleeder
went
or
crazy?
whatever?
Bleeder. Like yeah, Bleeder was the nickname. Well, let's just go with Bleeder.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Bleeder was there. He's looking.
Yeah,
for
it was
Bleeder.
Ja Not from.
Whoops, not that one.
Yeah, which book was that?
That was Ja
That's
Not from Rhythm of
Stormlight.
War.
Stormlight, yeah.
Yeah, it was a name like that. You gotta be kind of nice to me. I'm not a name guy, guys.
So, you gotta kind of be nice to me, even though I've been passive aggressive for the past 3 hours.
So, anyway, in this scene, Bleeder books it out the window. Waximilian follows.
Yeah.
And in a pretty intense scene of itself. But actually, I was more concerned about what was going on back at the party. Yeah. Was it Palm?
Palm. P-A-A-L-M.
Just Palm?
Palm.
Palm. Palm.
Oh, so you
John
were
not.
not close at all.
It was the double name.
Yeah, the
you know?
double name.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
He loves
The double
names.
name.
Yeah. Yeah, the double.
2 syllables.
Is Manny being mean to me now? Yeah.
I mean, Joshua's got a triple first name, so.
Yeah, Joshua's got a triple name.
Josh.
Emmanuel. I have 5 names.
5 names, Manny.
And 5 head.
I get it.
I sure do. Shine bright like a 5 head.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, guys. All right, so I do.
I get it, and it's really funny, guys.
2 things in this particular scene that I absolutely loved. One was Wax goes bonkers, all Western, and books it, and Wayne is left to kind of like pick up the pieces at the party and protect, actually, the governor. And I got a lot of good insights on Wayne's character here that I really liked. First was, of course, his rotation around the party to get as much of the rich food as possible. And then the second was the dialogue between him and Ceres. No, not Ceres. Steris. Thank you. Man, I'm mixing up.
Ceres, you're right.
No, I'm mixing up a lot of different stories and book names. So sorry. So sorry.
No, it was Celes from Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, shut it. Anyway, but I really like that scene because I kind of enjoyed how Wayne, in his complaining, kind of like, he's like, this is just how it is. I pick up the pieces. And then Sarah's just like, well, what do you do? How do you find? And he's like, if I move, I'll miss him. So you stay put. So you could tell like the how long their partnership's been going on and how well they kind of have learned to work with the team, partially because of Wayne is a glue in a way that is able to kind of understand Waximilian to a certain degree and adapt to it, and yet still essentially be the Scottie Pippen in that instance and just do exactly what he needs to do to progress the kind of both of the team's goals. So I did quite like that whole dynamic that was conveyed there.
Yeah, especially even the part where Wax is talking and they're like, oh, they're not allowing anyone in. And he's like, oh, good. That I was worried that he would be dissuaded from coming to the Nuppity party, but now that you gave him a challenge, he's gonna be here.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see.
Wasn't even worried
soon.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that actually cemented that he's gonna be here.
Which it did make a lot more sense at the end to know why they were trying to isolate Wayne out of the party.
Right.
But at that time, I was kind of like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Manny, why are you laughing?
I was just enjoying your
It was a good conversation.
Manny, how do you feel about
How dare you enjoy yourself?
I know. Not everything is about you, Jeff.
No, I just wanted to know why you were laughing. That's it.
I was just enjoying the conversation, Josh's point, how he was like, oh yeah, he gave him a challenge, so he was definitely going to be there. I was like, yeah, that's funny.
Okay, that was what Manny was enjoying.
I liked that sidebar. That was worth it.
Well, I thought I was going to get something more interesting out of Manny, to be honest. But I guess it was just wrong.
Wow, man, he is so boring.
Guys, I get it, and it's really funny.
I think that party scene was where it was pretty sweet, and I think that where was that in the book? That was a little over halfway. That was maybe like a third left.
Yeah.
Like 2/3 of the way through the book. And that
No,
was really
it wasn't that far into it, was it?
Yeah, but it was right after. It was maybe halfway. It was right about the scene that we were talking about where we all liked how Asteris handled the entire situation. And that's kind of why I was bringing it up. By the way, there was some interesting magical elements that came up in that scene, which I was kind of curious on your thoughts because this wasn't described in the first trilogy. So Wax is able to put a bubble around him, and innately he's able to start to understand like what to accept and disregard in his bubble. You know, so like he's walking around with this bubble, which he could kind of like deflect, not fully deflect, but at least partially deflect bullets and things. But it'll like accidentally knock a candlestick off a table, or you know, mess with people's jewelry, that kind of thing. But he's able to, if he thinks about it, he even said like, I don't know how exactly I do it, but it's like I just kind of, if I like Steris has some jewelry, put it in the purse and I could disregard it. And so he's able to disregard like his own guns and things like that. And so I was curious about that because usually Brandon Sanderson is very scientific when he's like describing
The
magic
system.
systems.
Yeah.
And in this case, he kind of said like, I don't really know how I do it. I just kind of figured it out over time. And I was curious what your thoughts on were that. I think it's a good thing, so I'm not complaining about it in the slightest, but I thought it was almost different.
I don't know. That kind of sounded like a complaint.
Maybe.
I didn't feel that it was very odd at all. I thought that it was trying to convey the message that he is so practiced and so good at it and such a natural that it's like second nature to him. Like he just does it because he wants to do it. It's kind of like you have your prodigies that just like pick up a basketball and they just naturally, they're like, you just get it in, you have the feeling. And I feel like he's kind of one of those like they're trying to portray a bit that he's this like prodigy with that almatic ability where he can actually like just feel what he wants to do. I don't think they're trying to like say there isn't a bit of a science to it. It's just they're trying to say like he goes by his gut. He's just like has this natural feel and he can just do what he wants to do because he's just that good at it.
I think
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's also kind of maybe there's history that I forgot that totally negates this, but I feel like it's also kind of a sign of Sanderson maybe showing us that like he wasn't taught this by anybody at all. Like he did it through trial and error, through trying it, just kind of like slowly getting to know his power and just doing it. Where, you know, I think anybody that's kind of like done something through acquiring something as opposed to consciously learning it, they kind of come across this. It's like usually people that are the worst at explaining the grammar of their language are native speakers as opposed to people that learned it as a second language because they just acquired it rather than consciously learned it. So I feel like this is kind of like just a result of him acquiring his skills rather than being taught in a certain way.
Yeah, because like in the first series, we know how it works, we know why it works, and we know the basics behind it, but it's just like going by feeling and like it's just a natural user of it compared to like I was saying, like someone who studied it.
Right.
And if you think about it, like this application that he's doing is probably more due to just the times and stuff with how popular steel and like bullets and guns are, that just like having that, being able to put that up, whereas like looking back in like Kelsier and Vin's time, really it was like arrows, which you actually can like see them coming, so you can actually see an arrow coming at you and you can push on it, whereas bullets just are so fast you can't react to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's like a product of the time, whereas like back then there wouldn't have been any need to have like a bubble up because everyone's walking around in armor. Like if someone's coming at you, you just react to it. You don't have to be like readily prepared for something you're not gonna see.
I don't know. I could see Vin doing it because he's super paranoid and just having that thing, so like sniper from the arrow from behind, you can't see it.
That's true. Maybe just ready to push it.
Vin was essentially a paranoid bodyguard, so that does make sense. Yeah.
I could see it, but also like Josh was saying that bullets just move so fast, you need to have that defense up before.
Yeah. And Wax is, even in the first book, it's mentioned like it's not a bulletproof. It just helps.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting, but it was kind of cool to see because they went into it a little more in depth, and you got the feeling, at least I got the feeling, that it was pretty advanced, and that he was able to kind of innately control a lot of this, that maybe other coin shots would not
Be able to do.
potentially be able to do it at that level. So so that was kind of another tidbit that we got. But we do go from there to protecting the governor.
I do want to bring up that we did, I think, in this book.
Oh,
and
it
I
was right
think
before this.
before
We were
this,
talking about this earlier. Yeah, this is perfect.
This was essentially right after the party. We get the first introduction, or first like kind of touching on the Cosmere characters.
Hoy.
And when it happened, when I saw this, immediately I was like, oh, I'm so excited to learn
Wait.
more about this.
Manny, did you catch Hoyd at all in this book?
Manny, why are you laughing?
Manny, why are you laughing?
Because Josh is trying to make a point, and every 5 seconds, Jeff is like, yeah, Hoyd.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wait, Manny, did you catch it though? I want to know before Josh tells me.
No, I totally did not.
Okay,
When I
so-
heard you guys talking
Yeah, I
about it,
also
I was
did not
like,
get
whoa.
this.
I didn't
was
either.
Okay.
One sentence
We didn't either, yeah.
that it happened, and it was literally after the party, and they were leaving, and Wayne and Wax get into the carriage, and Wayne was like, you need time to think, don't you? And Wax is like, yeah. So Wayne's like, I'll go sit with the carriage, and he pulls his head out, and he's like, hey, Hoyd, can I catch a ride up there with you? So he crawls out and sits up on the top of the carriage, and this is this is exactly where the conversation happens between Wax and Harmony, where he first has like a full one-on-one conversation, and the entire time I'm just like, oh, when are they going to switch over to Wayne and Hoyd sitting on top of the carriage? And so it didn't happen. And then for like literally the rest of the book, I'm just waiting for him to be like, oh yeah, and the carriage driver gave me this thing, and it's going to be like some key pivotal
This flute.
yeah, like something that like changes
Carriage
the
driver
whole
gave me the flute.
course of the story. But it never comes up again. They literally, I searched the entire book. That's the only place that his name comes up.
Yeah.
And it's literally just like, can I catch a ride up with you? And then the entire
Why
carriage
does he
ride
know
is
him
from Wax's.
by name though?
Probably because
He's
Well, that's
he's
a
a
good point.
regular carriage driver.
he's the new hired carriage driver.
Okay.
I would
fair.
assume that Hoyd likes to do a lot of observing. You know, he probably prides himself on knowing a lot of information, and part of that is probably just kind of like getting into places, getting people to like you so that you can get access, and then just shutting up and listening a lot. And I could also see him, because he has the gift of gab, not being able to like resist the urge to speak to somebody that's as charismatic as Wayne is. So
I wanted that dialogue so much, though.
I could see them being like
Yeah.
almost like friends.
Yeah.
You know, like
I
easily.
really wanted the dialogue, and I
Yeah.
was very upset that it was just like they didn't bring it up again. I was the entire time I'm like, I know it's gonna happen, and he's gonna be like, oh, I got this item off of the carriage driver gave it
Yeah.
to me, and it was like it's the one thing that like changes the course of battle. But
Yeah.
it just never happened.
I just wonder if Hoyd, I mean, who knows how common the name Hoyd is? Maybe there's Hoyds that we're attributing to the Hoyd we know, that Sanderson's just like, ha ha.
I think-
you guys thought that was Hoyd, but I doubt
Maybe
it.
that's
But
the
you never
original
know.
Hoyd.
Yeah.
I think he was there to
Oh.
specifically, yeah. Well, no, because we also got Hoyd in the previous one, but not the
he
previous
said he-
one, the previous series, the Mistborn.
Oh, and I know, but what Ben's mentioning is that Hoyd took on Hoyd's persona.
Yeah. But the one thing I'll say is I think he
sounds
was
weird.
there mostly just because this was a pivotal moment. This was when God
Saza,
Harmony
yeah.
actually talked to
Harmony.
Wax, and the whole time I was like, oh, he must have just been like listening. But it was still a little bit disappointing. I really wanted some dialogue between Wayne and Hoyd.
Yeah.
I
Well,
thought that would have been great.
I was gonna say, like, this might be one of those instances where he just had nothing to say and he doesn't know why he's there yet.
Yeah.
He's just observing. I would assume that whenever he kind of like, I mean, I don't know if we got a ton of information about how he actually comes about to being in places, but he always says, I am where I'm supposed to be, I just don't know why. So maybe he's just there, and then while he's like He may have even been up there and like, Wayne's trying to talk and he's like, shut up, trying to like listen in on what's going on.
I'm listening to God talk
Yeah,
to this guy
exactly.
back here.
I figured out why I'm supposed to be here. Shut up, Wayne.
But that was cool, and that was as far as I know, the only time we really got a little bit of
I'm glad that you caught that because none of us caught that.
Yeah, I
and
missed
Hoyd
Hoyd.
is like my favorite. So
I missed the word Hoyd altogether. I don't know how I
don't know how I don't know how we all missed it.
Yeah.
Other than
Because he read it, we're all
because I'm
looking at
reading. I saw
2.0.
the name. Yeah.
It's like, and the new character of Hoyd.
yeah.
It's like, the new character of Hoyd
Yeah.
really fast. or
Josh is
something.
like, Hoyd?
What?
Who's Hoyd? Who the fuck is Hoyd?
So that was also interesting to me that Harmony would make such a direct appearance in this case.
I don't know how much I like that.
Well, that to me said how urgent and critical the situation is getting out of his hands. Like if I think about any of the other Cosmere books when we're talking on that level, like the God level, and they're making a appearance, it's because shit's not going well or something's bad.
It felt to me though that he like that whole conversation, like looking back on it. At first I'm like, oh, this is like so cool. It's like Sazed, like we're getting him and we're getting like this God's point of view. But I almost felt like it seemed poorly done. At least we're looking afterwards at everything Sazed has done so far. Seems so it seems so odd, like, because coming from the Stormlight archive, and granted,
This is what I've been saying,
gods-
Josh. I've been saying this since the last book. It seems like it's not complete. There's just something about it that doesn't seem as well done as the other books.
yeah, well, specifically, it was with me. It was not necessarily that it wasn't done well. It was that it felt like the god was not being a great god, because the other gods, they're like literally like just hundreds of steps ahead, and they're like have this vast knowledge, and they feel like gods more like, whereas in this situation it's just like, I don't know what to do and I need your help, like help me.
I didn't get that sense,
like
though.
it felt like he's like, oh, my hands are tied, but it was like, how many to the whole like coming down and personifying you to someone, whereas like a being or Sazed being like having the knowledge and the abilities at hand should have been able to manipulate him without just coming out and being like, hey there buddy, I need your help. Like every other god does it
I
this
thought that
way.
was actually heavy-handed, because most of the other gods, but the would have maybe found a way to manipulate you similar to Sazed's been manipulating Waxamillion the whole time.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, by coming out and being like, I'm God and I'm here and I'm asking for your help, especially after how much he already did manipulating in the past, and why not come out whatever time ago before, instead of killing the Khandra wife?
I think
like, it just seemed all not very well
Well, he
done.
didn't kill the Khandra girl. Wax did. She killed herself,
But
actually.
he
in the out west before the first book.
that's what I'm
I
talking
don't.
about.
I think that was just an assumption that he made.
What?
He just made Waxamillion just made an assumption based off of her insane aversion to being controlled. So like, we don't know that
but
that was all set up.
True, but her yelling was like, her sentiment, and I don't know if I trust the way that kind of like in your death row is saying this type of stuff. She's like, I refused to be the one that forced you to come back, which makes it like, okay, so then in my mind, Sazed's like, okay, well we're just gonna get you killed.
I'd say that's a lot of assumptions made, and I don't see Sazed doing that, because Sazed, if he lets his personality take over, his personality wants to save everybody. What he's doing is he's restricting his involvement, because he has, unlike the other gods who have a single personality force driving them, he has conflicting. So for him to keep the balance between the two, it's the best for him to actually stay kind of a little bit hands off.
Yeah, but it just seems weird to be.
We just got a battle.
Yeah, so like I think
we just got a battle.
I don't disagree with you.
wonder who
It
will
would
win.
be weird if he did that. What I'm saying is that's a dangerous assumption.
But no,
to make.
even if that isn't what happened at all, for the god to be like, well, I'm just gonna let Wax think this, like, or like
Wax won't put his earring back in, so.
Well,
Yeah,
even,
but he should be like
Let's see.
steps ahead of everyone to be able to be like, oh, this is how it's gonna turn out when he finds this out. So maybe I should play this a little bit differently. It seemed odd to me.
I mean that, and she never died in the first place. So was that her feeling like, oh, I got shot, so I'm just gonna pretend I'm dead? Or did
Yeah, I was
Harmony-
that was what I was thinking about too, Ben. I was
Oh,
like, wait a minute. So when she got killed, shot, like, how did he not know that she wasn't dead?
they can
Like,
tend to be dead enough to fool a physician.
But I think you guys are jumping to the conclusion that she actually was the girl. Like the person who said we are all controlled was the murderer guy. It was holding.
no,
the girl.
yeah, we know that, but the girl was her. She was the girl, and
Are you
even,
sure? Like,
yeah,
what-
Even Tensoon says it. He's like, that was her. She was sent to you as a bodyguard.
Yeah, that was
That's
confirmed
interesting.
at the
Why
end.
would the other guy say that thing?
Because she probably. I think this is what I think it is. I think literally it was Harmony's way of trying to force. Yeah, see, that's weird though, because
see,
that
things
guy
don't add
who-
up quite yet.
They don't.
I just don't
but-
think it adds up
But
yet.
I think it's odd.
we
that-
we don't know the big picture.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it's odd that at this point, this like god being is kind of like, I don't need to explain, or like I'm okay with him making these assumptions.
I mean, I don't think Odium would have had an issue with it. He was doing all kinds of goofy human things
I mean,
and then
there's
got
that,
screwed.
but he was also a few thousand years old. Well,
That's true. Saz is only 600 years old
No,
at this
less than
point.
300. Well, 300 plus his actual age.
Yeah.
so like he is a god, but he's maybe still coming into his powers, trying to figure out
That's
how
a
to
little baby
subtly
god.
do things.
He's a
That's what I thought
little baby
too.
god.
But I also felt that, judging from the last book, or the Stormlight Archive, and maybe a bit of spoilers. Actually, I don't know if we want to say too much, because that might be too
No,
much
we
spoiler.
should stay out of it a little
But-
bit. But
Judging by the end of that book, that guy literally has like weeks and is insane. Like a couple of days and is already like make mad plays. So
well, we don't really know how how good he's gonna be, but all indications seem that he was like kind of ideal for the situation.
But
So we'll
what
see.
Josh was saying though, she's a Condra and she was shot. What stopped her from coming back later? Mm-hmm. And like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm in love with you, and
She was being controlled by Sazed.
That's what
why
she
wouldn't
claimed.
she do that if she really loved him? If that really was her, like we believe it was, and she loved him, like she seemed to love him, why wouldn't she just come back? Like, I'm alive, don't worry about it.
Could the
Why couldn't she just tell him, like, even when she was back, like, oh, that was me. I was really her.
wait? Didn't she though? Well, at
Not
the very
really.
end.
There's this, in my opinion, there's too much goofiness around this whole thing, and I just I don't
Because you read the
know.
next book, so
Yeah.
So guys, I got to tell you about this
Yeah.
scene. The scene on the
We're gonna get married. We find out the truth about her, and he's gonna come in and say, "I'm your father," all in the same gondola scene.
Yeah.
But not only that, God will arrive, and then we'll find out the whole actual background.
I do agree. He's leaving like what feels to me like a lot of room, or a lot of like
Yeah.
there's a lot of unanswered questions.
So,
Definitely.
just a quick question, Jeff. If I'm not mistaken, you're saying that you're not completely on board with the fact that that Bleeder,
Bleeder.
that Bleeder was even her. You're saying that she
Well,
was maybe lying.
It seems
Lisa-
really like
Leslie?
legit to me.
Yeah.
But there's something weird because
'Cause it
reading
seems
that
weird
first
that-
book, he was the murderer holding her was the one who was saying all these things.
Yeah.
Like they were the. So I almost wonder if they just didn't just absorb her body right then,
well, there's that,
right after
and then
being
there's
shot
the
by Wax.
other god that
Oh!
also
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say there's the other god. I already forgot his name. Starts with a T.
Mm-hmm.
That
Ifrit.
was
But,
100
yeah.
lives.
Trell.
We thought like someone was pulling his strings, Trill. So Trill could have been pulling the killer's strings.
Yeah, I'm just I can't.
So you're saying it's potential that the conjurer was actually the murderer. Wax killed her, and then he took over her body potentially.
I'm not saying that I'm like all
Coming
in on
on
that
through.
or
Right.
anything.
You're
yeah.
saying that's an option.
I feel like there's something missing because like I want to believe like at the end of it I believed based on everything that Wax is essentially like I killed her again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was the truth. And then based on what the other Condor said, but I mean,
Yeah,
they didn't know until just now, and who knows what Sazed told them. Like they tell him. Just
I
what he
mean,
wants,
she
so-
definitely seemed to know information that only
They
the
should
real
know.
one would know. But
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
without
Yeah, like she called him cravat.
yeah, without adequate time to actually interrogate.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Well,
as far as
that
we know.
crook was around the whole
Yeah, but
the
that
whole area for a
conversation
long time. So
that gave
I
it
don't
away
know.
for Wax.
Waximilian.
Happened at the bar fight,
Yeah,
and I don't know
about
if this book,
about the because she was
the first time they met.
yeah the first time they met, but still Khandra, and this is the best. Remember, the best Khandra.
Second
No,
best.
Tensoon is.
No. Tensoon would agree that this Khandra is the best at impersonating. It was the Lord Ruler's personal, like, bring down governments and economy kind of Khandra. So I
Yeah,
want
I think Tensoon is the best at switching.
Switching.
Oh, yeah.
quickly, yes. But I just so I listen. I'm not saying it's not that way. I just there's
Yeah.
something there.
But that
There's
is what you're saying.
There's too much stuff. I think like
I mean,
I
there's
don't
definitely
know.
stuff that doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, there's still stuff we need to find out.
Yeah.
and but I feel like that's enough for me to say that was the way it happened. But
I
there's-
definitely feel like that if we knew everything, it seems unlikely that
We do have
Wax-
another book.
it seems very unlikely that Wax is going to be on the side of
says it.
Sazed in the
Harmony.
future.
I think next book is definitely going to be a huge thing with Wax completely, like, not liking God at Harmony, essentially, or, like, trying to reconcile how he can still, like... Because this whole scene, like, that ending scene was, like, for me, just, like, mind-blowing. Because I am, like, holy crap, like, if you're Wax, like, you don't put the earring back in. You don't want to talk to God. Like,
Right.
like, F you, regardless of you think that I can handle it because I'm distraught. Like that, the way he did it was such a... And it's just so confusing to me that it's like, I'm going to talk to you at this point, but why wouldn't you have... If you're willing to come out and talk to humans, why didn't you just do it way back then instead of having him kill the love of his life? Like,
Because you weren't ready for it.
I'm really curious though. There was about 4 or 5 scenes in a row where it was explicitly said, "I do not have my earring in." He asks for Harmony, and he does not have his earring in. And those times, I wonder what would have been said. And he never put it back in.
Well-
His last
well,
conversation.
no, he didn't
anymore.
have it because he made it into the bullet that he
Right.
could shoot.
But interesting
Leader
to
would.
know.
Yeah.
Like what would have like maybe it would be totally different. I don't know. Like
I feel like Wax would be a lot angrier if he found out all his actions were directly controlled by Harmony. I think Harmony sets up opportunities. He scouts people out, and like, these are people who can help me. And he's like, he sets up like kind of tests, like, you could go this road or this road, and
Let's
if
see
they
what
keep going down the road he wants, then they're like, we'll keep helping his cause. But he's not going to set up a hard blockade with, like, I feel like there's an outside force in that gunfight where he killed his love.
I
That wasn't
agree.
Harmony.
I don't think Sazed's going to take a hard hand.
I think he's
I
setting
think
up
he's
these.
gonna-
But
Opportunities.
how is not sending her there to
A
not...
bodyguard? We'll have to see what
Like,
he
what
didn't
happened-
have his
But
say
it also,
yet.
yeah, it just feels so
Because when did she get that extra spike? I mean, not the extra spike, but the new spike of the unknown metal.
Yeah, I would That's kind of the big thing that I think we'll find out, and hopefully it'll all be fleshed out. We'll get a scene that's going to be explaining.
In the next
I find it really hard to believe Sazed's taking a heavy hand on this shit. Like, he's just very much.
No, I'm not necessarily saying that he's taking a heavy hand. I'm saying that he's taking a very inconsistent hand that is not. That seems too weak.
He's not as seasoned.
Not too weak, but it just seems like he's floundering. Like he's like
he went hard and gave Wax a bodyguard, but then
and then all of a sudden is like, oh, but I need to give you free choice. But the way it's presented, and granted, this might be completely wrong, but it's presented to make you think. She was like, I'm not going to bring him back to the city. So Sazed's like, well, we're going to kill her. And then he has to come back. And then
but I read the first 3 books. He's not that way.
No, Jeff's like, I read the next book. So coming in the next book, he's not that way.
I don't know. I don't know about the next book, but I know. I just thinking about.
He's not that.
We just read
the
we just read the Mistborn trilogy, and I'm like, no, man, he's a hero of ages, baby.
But how much changes based off of him taking in
everything?
Harmony,
However, because he has 2 conflicting forces, I think that might be one of the best scenarios to be in. Because this is just how I think about it. But whenever you take one of the powers, you become so powered by that one emotion. And so it starts to turn you. In this case, he took 2 that are completely polarized.
Right.
So, like, it's kind of like you're in a standstill. And so Sazed wants to do certain things, but he understands that standstill. Yeah. And
could it possibly be, though, that the balance comes in almost like other character stuff?
I mean,
could it come in a
Terrace House? Yeah, Terrace House. Yeah. Could it be in a balance of just like sometimes more this way, sometimes more that way, rather than balancing though?
I honestly feel it's more so that he weakens or hurts himself when he goes more one way than he should. Because I think it's going to be similar to what we've had in other books where they say like, oh, if you break your word or you go against your thing, you actually become weaker or you open yourself to attack or this type of thing. So I think it's the same with him because he's got 2 of these. He really wants to be like out there, like helping and doing all this stuff. But every single time he takes too much of an action, he either hurts him. He like literally is weakening himself. Like it's.
Which he might have to allow to be made up later.
Exactly, in weights, or he knows that. Like, if I do too much on this side, I am opening myself up where I'm going to have to do this later. Yeah. Or, and I don't know what it is, but I might have to kill someone. I might have to, like, do weird things to balance this out. Otherwise, I'll be in a vulnerable position.
Could it also be that that Bleeder is his ex-wife, but she misinterpreted the events of that day?
Well, I think
she truly believes that Sazed had her killed, but that's not exactly what happened.
That could be as well. I think there's a lot of interpretation there that could be. Ben, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't know when she got that spike in her. If she had it back then the new guy could have yanked her head. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think it said her head was yanked in the way of the bullet.
Yeah, he had her like by the back of the head, and when he made the shot, he just pulled her over.
Was it the killer who did that?
Yeah.
So like he knew it. He's like, we've done this move over and over and over again.
Yeah,
then he just knew and pulled her right in front of that move.
Well, could then... I don't know if this actually has any significance,
Hail
but
Mary!
could the bullet have been again
set up
the other spike? Because they know that they're in this routine and do it over and over and over, they could possibly have rigged his gun to already have the new metal bullet.
Just put a bunch of like soldering bullets with the new spike. Then
actually,
possible.
I want to go back and read that if there was if we went back and read it and there were any like special things about like, found a random bullet in his pocket, or like,
my gun feels heavier.
This is my lucky bullet.
Yeah.
like something like that, then I would agree with that. But I'd have to go back.
I can't wait till we
Then
read
I
the
would
next
agree
fucking
with
book and
that.
there's not a goddamn gondola in the next book.
Jeff's now praying there's no gondola, so we leave him the hell alone.
I can't.
When every Brett bet comes to a conclusion on the gondola up to the mountains.
See, what I think is actually going on is Jeff has 5-head Sazed types planning that Josh can't see. Where he knows the answer to every Brett bet, but then he's just like, oh, I'm going to put out this fake idea of this gondola just so everybody leaves me alone about it.
Yeah, could be true.
Well,
Or he's really pushing it like, I'm just gonna, divert their attention somewhere else.
Exactly.
yeah.
Anyway.
I will say, so
I'm that
the
clever.
Khandra in this book, like, I think that was such a, this is what started to get me, and I really enjoyed the end of this book, and I think that's part of it's because of the introduction, or like the actual interactions we get with all the Khandra. Like, I think it's so cool going back and like getting Milan, who I think is actually the one. Is she the one that
Milan was
trained her?
Tensoon's friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like third
was
generation or fifth
student or
fifth
whatever,
generation?
because he
Yeah.
trained her, and she was the one when he went back. That was like talking
Saved
to
him.
him and saved him. So
awesome. That's why I
thought
was
that
like,
really
it's her.
cool to start getting that, and I loved getting Tensoon in there, especially the scene where we finally Tensoon as the dog, the wolfhound, is awesome.
How did you feel about that though?
Cool.
Like, I felt almost a little sad for him. in
I
a
didn't
way.
feel sad at all. I felt like, oh, awesome. He's like still holding on to Vin and that whole relationship.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so cool.
Yeah.
It felt like he was very kind of like sad about not, I don't know, those times being gone, kind of thing. Like, I felt like he was a little.
So this is another point where I'm like, man, this book could have been longer and had more stuff fleshed out. Like, I really
just like this
I know, I'm
book
gonna
needs to
say
be
it
3 times
over and
longer,
over
and I
again.
want more.
But I think that was one of the scenes where I got like hints that Brandon Sanderson's like, I kind of want to go this way. Like the whole scene where they're getting chased and they go into the one room and Tensoon's like, stay back. They're specifically made to fight you. And he's like, I'll try and do something. And then Wax is just like, nope, screw this, and literally just like jumps in and is amazing. And there was like a moment where they described like Tensoon just like kind of like in awe looking over at him. And I wanted them to kind of go into it and be like Tensoon being like, this is bringing me back to like me and Vin, or like I'm getting like hints of that, and then them starting to get like a bond, or start to kind of him being like, oh, maybe I should come out and talk to humans again, because they almost played a little bit like he's like, there's just like, ever since Vin, like there's just hasn't been anything for me out here.
Seemed like he was becoming like the first generation.
Right? Yeah.
Well, he just sits back and doesn't talk at all.
And just like, I'll just stay out of it because like I had my time. And it was like this whole scene, I was like, man, this feels like such a good point to like be like, he's rekindling stuff. He's like, oh, I could be like back in the thing of men, and like, oh, there are people out there that are still like virtuous and can do it, like will fight for what's right and stuff like that. But it kind of just died there, and maybe we'll get more in the next book. I really hope we do. But it was like another one of those scenes where I was like, they can flesh out so much between this interaction.
That scene, I really liked it, and I was slightly disappointed at the same time. Like when Tensoon changed bodies to his like giant form.
Yeah.
I expected him to have like 4 arms or something. It'd be like ridiculous, because they realized in like the end of the second book, like they don't have to be a human form. They can be any form they want. They can have 4 arms and 2 heads. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was just like but it was just a giant human with huge arms.
It was like a colossus. It was almost just like a colossus.
I wanted
Ben
to
was
see-
like, I thought after 300 years, Tensoon would have been a badass in creativity.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought it'd be like
a
come out with
monster.
Goro.
Yeah.
And it's like just destroy them, but he was just having a hard time. Like,
Or it would have been cool. Like again, I
Yeah.
think this is where they could flesh more stuff out. But it would have been like, I could have thought it'd be amazing.
You really
if he
want to
just-
use the word flesh.
Yeah.
Today.
But what if he was like literally in the middle of battle, like
Just
they,
gonna be
lunge
like-
for his arm, and he just like immediately just like moves it down, or like just changes it into something that's more like they've got him in an arm lock, and he just like turns all the bones around, and now his arm's like bends that way. I think like stuff like that could have been really.
I'm
cool.
willing to bet he's still amazing, but he's probably quite rusty.
I mean, he changed in like
Oh my
10
God.
seconds.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Which was
That was
amazing.
Cool.
So shit. There was something awesome I was gonna say, and now it's gone.
Oh well.
No.
All right. Well, maybe I'll come back later.
Oh well.
Oh well.
Fuck. Oh well. Anyway, so progressing from awesomeness, we did get to see the grave. We now know that all the caverns, as we knew from the end of the first trilogy, were in and under Elendel.
Wherever anyone was hiding, which
Exactly.
includes parts of the keep, which is awesome.
Includes parts of the palace.
Helm. I want to say Helm's Deep, but it wasn't Helm's Deep. It's
Nope, that's a different book series.
something deep.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it is. But it's something deep. It's something similar to that.
Well, it's the
Josh,
Lord Ruler's
The
palace.
battle
Josh.
for something deep.
Josh wants pizzas and he wants them all deep.
But Kelsey got his scars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
Hatson.
Hatson.
Hatson, yeah.
That
pits
was
of
like,
Hatson.
he's moved everything important to that one spot.
Yeah.
No, there was
Just-
also the palace too. They saw
Yeah.
parts of the palace under there, and yeah, Hatson was awesome.
The
Yeah.
Well of Ascension.
Yeah, the old Well of Ascension. So
Oh, there's a new one, huh?
there is no new one.
Okay.
It's
Do you take the gondola? Do you take the gondola to the new Well of Ascension, Jeff?
On the gondola. That's gonna be my new response to everything. Where is breakfast? On the gondola.
Dude,
Just wait.
if we ever start doing merch, that needs to be Jeff's shirt. It's on the gondola.
On the gondola. Yes. There'll just be like horns on the gondola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say jumping away from the Khandra, I thought one thing that was really cool too was kind of learning a little bit about the constable, and I forget his name. It starts with an A.
Yeah, the head
Arden or whatever, the constable guy.
chief.
He that whole like his kind of interactions and stuff, and how Marcy kept introducing like, I have like this secret file that's
Marcy,
like
right?
on
Marsha.
Oh, Marcy. They've got a secret file on the governor, and then she starts to find more information, and she brings it up to him, and like that whole stuff.
I
where
was
he's-
waiting the whole time. I thought she was gonna like find all this information, be assured that he was corrupt, and then find out he's not corrupt. I thought.
Oh, you
yeah.
thought there was gonna
I
be
was
a twist.
waiting for that to happen.
I was waiting for some type of like little twist like that also.
As it turns out, he's just.
I
been
was
dead
thinking
for a
that it
while.
was going to be him or it was going to be the mayor that were going to actually end up being
Yeah.
the Khandra. It was
Yeah.
either him or him, and I was like, oh, which one's it going to be?
Yeah.
Ah.
But it turns out he was really corrupt back in the day, and he was a Khandra.
Well, that actually that was
Later
the part
on.
that surprised me is Milan was kind of like, oh, we would not try him in our laws. Like we can't because you don't know. He could have.
No,
done
he's already
all
dead.
of
You
that.
can't tell. Yeah.
Well,
it's-
they even said he could have done. It could have been
Planted.
Bleeder that did all of this stuff, or that could have all been planted by Bleeder. Like you can't prove it. And so she's like, and she's also like, I'm not gonna be part of
I agreed
a
with
sham
that, though.
trial, and I'm gonna kill
Yeah.
myself.
I agreed with that though, because they even asked like, doesn't Harmony know? Why doesn't he just tell you? And
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, he
like-
knows, but he doesn't tell us that.
Yeah.
He won't
And
tell
it's
you.
kind of like, I guess it's kind of a good damn point. You can, I don't know. You're in
Yeah.
a gray area there. It's like, but you can't if you muddy your values there. You don't like the long-standing effect of muddying that value could be really tough. So I think
Yeah.
Sanderson hit on that point really good because he's like, you know what? All right, here's how you choke yourself.
Yeah.
Have some fun.
Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting scene where I think
Itakimasu.
the entire time we get Milan's point of view, she's almost very playful, very like almost, I don't want to say not whimsical, but like a very interesting character, like a character. But then she gets super serious in that scene.
Yeah.
Where she's just all of a sudden like, oh my god, you're questioning like you want me to do something that is like completely against like what I what we believe. Like you're setting up almost like a sham trial. I'm not going to be part of that. And then to be like, oh, and you think Harmony will just give you the answer? She all of a sudden turned like very stern in that scene, which almost was like caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, oh man, this must be like a not like a sore point, but it almost was. It was very passionate compared to all of her other interactions. Even just like stuff about God being like, oh yeah, you snore at night too, like a joking thing.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden in this situation, it was just like super serious, and it was just like very different from what we had experienced from her in the past.
Yeah.
And I think it was just because it was kind of getting into that morality stuff or like questioning of
Well,
God.
not only morality, but also just like you have to have a society in the future too. And if you just start saying like, oh yeah, God said he's guilty, like you're just screwed at that point, even if he is. Because it's like, well, now anybody can just have anybody convicted of anything by saying that they're speaking to God as well.
Yeah, but I agree that it wasn't 100% that the governor was guilty. But I feel like even if he was dead and they could have the trial with the evidence and convict the rich people if they weren't rich enough to get out of it.
Yeah.
And with her there saying that she wrote it, that it would have been, I don't know, just like not as bad as she was trying to make it out to be. Like, it wasn't a sham. It was, pretty much fact.
But I think because she couldn't be 100% certain it was
Yeah.
fact. So you can be like, I have like 99% sure that it's true, but I think in her mind it was like that 1% is 100% the reason you do not do this.
But like in any trial, you're never gonna be 100% sure because there's
true.
people speaking.
Well,
Yeah.
but she also said, she made it seem like we, like, and I don't know exactly how, if they'll ever talk about this, like, Kandra law and stuff, but she's like, that's why we would never convict in this way. So she made it sound like in Kandra, it's, like, we say innocent until proven guilty, but, like, guilty is just also a distinction by one person or a judge or a group of people. But, like, they seem to be, like, they're 100% absolute facts. Any question in it, it's like you just don't do it, which could be very different from how humans and how it's being done in the book.
Oh, that, and even in the first series, like the Kandra just don't lie, they don't cover stuff up. Tensoon went back to
That's
his
true.
homeland. No one would have known if he didn't do that.
Yeah.
That he broke contract, and it was he
followed
technically
contract, but
broke contract. Like it wasn't even like he totally broke contract. He just was talking, and they still put him in the prison for that.
Yeah, they might have hardcore law in a sense. Like there's no gray. It's like,
Black or white?
A or B. I don't see color, Manny.
Binary.
yeah. I thought that was a very interesting scene, though. It was just kind of.
You don't see color, but you can say gray?
That's all
Well,
I
I
see.
guess that's what you would see if you don't see color.
That's all I see. That's all I
Gray
see,
is
bro.
a color.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's a shade.
It's a color.
Anyway, I did have to agree with a lot that was going on here. It's hard to tell. I hope we get more actually about how Kandra law has evolved. It did seem like Kandra society evolved a lot because of what they were saying about the younger Kandra. Now they just migrate through human society like perpetually.
Oh, they have like
now.
special bars and stuff. Too,
Yeah.
that they can instead of going to the homeland, which is like a sacred place, they don't go there anymore unless like pilgrimage type thing. But it's like everyone just meets in like specified bars and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's kind of cool. I do.
And
hope
then
we get
Milan and Wayne get along pretty well. So
I want Wayne.
They're kind of like gay people. Like, they're just a part of society, but they always meet up at specific bars.
Manny.
That's amazing. That was good.
I don't see sexuality.
And then they Skype in instead of actually show up to meetings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought that
They like to practice social distancing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Unless they're really hard up.
And they really need to flesh it out.
Oh no!
This guy gets it.
Oh, too good, too good. So, I guess it's time to turn to the events of the end, potentially. Not necessarily, but kind of.
Yeah, let's go with it.
I mean, it's time.
It's time.
So,
It is time.
yeah. How do you feel?
So let's talk about the end, or not. I mean, unless we don't want to, but I think we really should.
Was that passive aggressive, guys?
This end was so good.
It was good.
I will say, like, so
was
the
intense, man.
the chase scene was really cool. It was kind of like you're getting this like culmination towards the end, and he's like chasing her. He's like, oh, I'm getting closer with each move.
Wayne caught him first.
Wayne's was awesome.
And I was like,
too.
oh, no. I was like, I know. Wayne caught him. And then the chapter ended. And it went
Yeah.
to the next
Well, because he's
chapter.
like,
And I'm like,
he says it. He's like,
Shit.
well, I know who the conjurer
now I
is.
know it must be very obvious.
What's so cool because he's like, that voice, that pronunciation. I actually thought, this was my thought when that first happened, was I was like, oh, it's Milan. And she's gonna have said something.
Oh my God.
but used the wrong
It was
A.
a 10. It was another Tensoon.
What?
Yeah, Tensoon killed the original.
Tensoon killed Osier. Or
Oh
Osier?
yeah.
Or Seer.
You're right.
Or Seer.
I thought it would have been the exact same because I was like, "Oh my god!" 'Cause
Again!
I thought like, but I was like, "That's a very short time period." But I was like, "Oh, she's all of a sudden going to be saying the A's wrong." Like after he taught her to change how she says the A's, all of a sudden she'll be saying the A's wrong. So he'd be like, "That's the wrong one."
Or
The wrong
she's saying
one.
him right
That was-
immediately. Someone of the
That
two.
was my thought process there. But I thought it was really cool when he's it was really funny because he's like, Wax is in there, and all of a sudden he puts his like hand down, and it's like gum, and I'm like, I was thinking about it afterwards. I'm like, Jesus Christ, if I just like put my hand, it's like, oh, that's Wax's gum, like him all of a sudden being like, I know everything. I'm like, man, that is some like gymnastics to get to that. I was like thinking, I'm like, God, I would have been like, oh, Wax is telling me that someone's gonna attack from the window. Like that was my first thought, and I'm like,
Well,
oh,
I
that'd
think
be
his
close.
only real thought was like, oh shit, Wax is screwed. And then that everything else clicked after that. And Wax is by nature extraordinarily paranoid about everything. As we
Oh, he's a
found
Vin
out.
type.
Yeah, he's a Vin type Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I think that it was more like a, oh shit, and then that must be the guy kind of thing.
Like
Yeah.
Wax was here, but I don't see. Or no, not Wax. Wayne was here, but I don't see Wayne. So something happened.
something happened.
Wayne's
'Cause he wouldn't
gone.
lose his
Yeah,
thumb that
yeah.
way, or it would be there for a reason, and
Yeah.
like attaching cards to make a cool tower, something like that.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah, that scene was really cool. And then the chase.
The whole revelation and her being really Lessie was just crazy. Like, oh god, it was so heart-wrenching. I felt so bad for her, and I didn't know how to feel.
I didn't know how to feel either because my gut kept wanting to say that I'm trying to like put what she's done, like spiking a priest through the eyes and pinning him against a wall,
Like that's crazy. Yeah.
to like the Lessie that is there. And so like I'm with Wax in this point. I'm like, I don't know exactly. There's too much, and so in this point, I guess I'm just
It was a
the
really
sword of.
interesting build up too, because they're like kind of like grappling, and she's like, the hand, like you're the hands, and I'm like, she's here to kill Wax. That's the final thing, is kill Wax, because Wax
Tongue,
is
eyes,
the hands of God. But then all of a sudden she's like, but we don't have to be this way. Like I'm just gonna like, I just need you to stop moving. So she like shoots him in the leg, and I was like, but that was like when that happened, I'm like, this is weird. Like she's killing
I still
everyone
think
else.
There's just too much more,
And then-
it just
yeah,
man.
all of a sudden with him like,
Could she
but
be
I
that
don't
good, though?
need to kill you.
I
Kill
just
my
think
heart.
there's so much more gondola. We need.
It's gonna be a lot of
Like,
gondola.
wait, when she
God,
moved
I
to
need a
mask,
gondola in my
gondola.
life.
I
I
was
need
like,
some
oh my God.
gondola in my life.
and she's back. Like, she was Bessie the whole time. Leslie the whole time.
You thought that immediately?
Yeah. As soon as he
No,
moved
I
his ass.
immediately was just like, oh, this bastard, like,
I
is
kept
using the
trying to
body
go.
so
Yeah.
he couldn't
I kept
shoot her.
trying to go that way. I was like, no, and then it get worse and worse, and I'm like, no, no.
It felt like the whole fight. I was
No.
fine with just like, oh, she's just using the body as a
No.
way of not keeping him from being able to shoot her. Like, it's a mind game. And it was really just like after he had shot her that it was like,
Yeah, I got worried.
she said the one, because of that whole time, it was just that one sentence where all of a sudden she's like, I forget whatever the sentence was that she said, but he was like, how do you know that? And she's like,
Yeah, she called him cravat.
yeah.
because he saw her cravat, and then she also said something about her thing that she wore on her leg when they first met, when he was at that little
Daughter.
unnecessary club,
Yeah. And so it was just
the
like,
dirty club.
that whole, like, that's when it all hit me. And my mind just went like, oh my gosh, like, this is what's all gonna start happening, because it's like I was immediately like, oh my god, he's gonna hate Harmony. Like,
Yeah.
Harmony, you just immediately, Harmony did all this to you, and it's like, but you just spent this
Well,
entire
that's his
time being
thought.
like, well, you just spent this entire time being like, oh, I'm God's
Harmony's sword.
hand, I'm his sword, I'm not his hand, I'm his sword, like. And then to be like, oh, your strings have been pulled this whole time. How do you rebel against this? What's this going to mean for the next book? How is he even going to stay the hero in the next book? Like, the whole opportunities
Yeah.
that
By the way, I don't
No.
think the cravat is enough. He wears a cravat fucking everywhere. He's the
She said
cravat.
exactly
But nobody
what-
calls him that besides her.
It would
You're
take
an
me
idiot.
10 seconds to call him the cravat. Look at that guy wearing a cravat all the
Yeah,
time.
but it would also
It
take
was a
you
very
just as
specific
long to say
phrase.
1,000 other things. And how do you pull on just
I
that
think the
one?
garter was a better. Anyway.
Jeffrey, you just need to stop being a hater and let Josh have his love story.
I mean, yeah, it obviously was enough that
I've just-
Wax was like really taken aback by it.
Yeah.
He certainly was.
Well, it was just like a hammer, just like boom, like the realization. And I
Well,
think
kill
that made
kill his love twice is
Yeah.
the major thing that he's like.
that puts such a good twist in it. It really got me hooked, and that's almost like that. Like the whole the Tensoon and in the catacombs below the city.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're catacombs, but the
Or
caves.
well, they
What
were
do they call them?
the burial of, well, they call it the tomb of the
Helm's Deep.
Helm's Deep.
It was like Vin and Ellen's tomb. They
Yeah,
made
when
it
they died.
into that.
But that from that scene like on was just I loved all that, and I think that like final scene too. Like I love the visual of them like on the outskirts of the city. They're up on the bridge and they're like way high up and then kind of like tumbling down. All that was so good.
Josh was like, "Wow, finally the story's getting started."
it's over.
Exactly.
Well, the good news is the next book's already out.
That is.
Yay!
I'm very excited.
and the next book's going to be the exact same thing, Josh.
I know.
A whole bunch of leading to the end, and then the end really killing you.
Oh, we'll
I'm
see.
pretty
I think
sure I remember that the epic takes place on the gondola.
Oh
This,
my
this
god.
whole book, the next book, I'm.
Is that the title of the third book?
Gondola?
Yeah.
It's just gondola.
On the
Gondola of
gondola?
Alloy.
You guys are going to be excited though because we actually get 2 more books. Well, really 1 book and then 1 short story that finally you guys get to read that you haven't read yet, but we did promise the fans we were going to do it after Bands of the Morning, which is one of the most critical short stories in the entire Cosmere.
Cosmere. Well, it's going to
I
give
want
us
some
more of the
Cosmere.
Cosmere.
Yeah, so it's the Cosmere.
Hey!
It was intentional.
Yeah, totally tried that. But it's
Totally
humongous.
tried that instead
So-
of totally meant it.
Yeah, I read it
So
right after the
aggressive.
first Mistborn. Yeah, I just ignore it now.
That's the best way to handle it.
So, but I mean, it's awesome. So we're gonna get to read the Bands of the Morning, then we're gonna read that short story, then most likely we're gonna read Skyward 3, then
And
we might get lucky enough if Brandon Sanderson continues to be the machine that he is. We'll see if we get this final
yeah,
little
hopefully.
touch point. Yeah, it'll be pretty sweet.
Yes.
I think then the one thing I want to touch on is how how much like again I
have
said
a
like
Brett bet.
Steris is like, oh, you're like, oh, I wish we got more of her. I think the way that little tiny interaction at the very end was like so good. How everyone's just like, oh, like false words and just being like, oh, we need to come here because everything like worked out in the end, and he's just kind of like sitting there like not dumbfounded, but just kind of like a mess, and no one really knows how to do anything or like how to interact, and we're just kind of like, oh,
Well,
okay.
then no one really knows why he's like
Exactly, yeah. But then just to have like Steris at the end just being like, don't say anything, you don't have to talk, but she just sits down next to him and puts her like hand on his hand. I thought that was such a good scene, and I thought that was a really awesome way of wrapping it up, because it like it gives you you get that little bit of closure. Like he finally is crying. Like hopefully that means there's that road to recovery once you start to do the crying.
That's what I thought.
But it also is just like, oh man, just you keep going through all the repercussions of this and what his thought process is, and it's there's so much that's going to happen after this that I'm really excited about.
Yeah. I mean, the more we talk about her, it's just shocking to me that she keeps getting left. She seems awesome.
Right? I think even after like the scene at the party, like that was, again, there's so much he could flesh out.
Speaking of fleshing out, she even said he could sleep with other women. Like, come on.
Perfect.
She's all about the flesh out.
I know.
Oh, dear.
I know.
I know.
Well, I have to say, was a deep, shadowy ending.
Yeah.
And I'm excited
Yeah.
to see where it
Yeah.
goes next.
I'm
Agreed.
really excited to see where it goes next.
I do have a Brett bet, though.
I can't wait for this scandal.
Somebody else is going to have to take it down because my phone's recording. Right
It is.
now.
Let's do it.
All right. So the Brett bet is about Wayne. And Wayne has a humongous crush on the oily, smoky smelling Renette. And I want to know, do Wayne and Renette get together?
No.
What do you think, Jeff?
Yes, I think yes. They got to. Wayne's too cool. He's also jacked. They described him as jacked in the first book.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she does seem like the type of girl that would probably find that.
But I feel
important.
like she's offended by Wayne's disdain of guns. And I think there's going to be something interesting there.
So
Perhaps on the gun.
yeah. Jeff is a yes.
Why did I start talking like this?
I don't know. You got super dramatic really quickly.
Yeah.
I want to talk about
no.
Wayne.
Ben says
What's that?
I said no.
Jeff writes a short story. Ben's just like, yeah, I'm going to go with no.
Like, I don't think she hates him. I just don't think she
yeah.
like sees him that way.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to go with no
Oh.
as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. Amy?
I'm going to go with no.
But I'm crying now. I want to know what you people think, because these people are dumb.
Josh says
Don't forget
No.
about the gondola.
I thought you were a romancier.
I am.
When it makes logical sense.
Yeah.
Josh is like, I'm a romantic, but I'm not an idiot.
Well, we'll see then.
All right.
Just wait till the gondola.
they sleep together on the gondola.
I'm not getting my lotion out for a smelly gunsmith.
Just like, I don't know everything, but I know this.
That fucking gondola's not even gonna show
I mean,
up.
I have to say though, I do hope I'm wrong. I would love, because he really seems to be into her.
Yeah.
And I would love to see Wayne end up with whoever he ends up wanting to be with, because he deserves happiness.
I agree. He's an awesome character.
He is an awesome character.
I feel they've made it too much of a kind of semi-joke
Yeah.
and too much of a like she like shoots him and stuff
Oh yeah.
for it to ever really happen. That's my thought.
But if we
Yeah.
got to know her better, that might just be like
Yeah.
That's how we know. That's how she.
Foreplay.
Yeah,
Yeah, she shoots
exactly.
Oh,
him.
she's a
Beforehand?
teenage boy. She just bullies the people she likes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's one thing I want to add at the end of this discussion about Wayne, since we're talking about Wayne.
Yeah, let's do it. We have time. I was trying to force the ending of the episode. Just
Yeah. The one scene, well, there's two scenes. The one was pretending to be the professor.
oh, that was
Got
good.
the whole Edison Tesla rivalry.
Yeah.
And, her father was like killed, and then everything was stolen from him. And then at the end of the book, he's like, "Oh, I heard about your father."
Oh, he's a great man.
He's like, "Oh yeah, you need some money." She's like, "Oh my God."
He invested in it.
Although the funniest
He's gonna
thing
be
too is
loaded soon.
The funniest thing too is he's like, "Oh, do you need money?" And Maya was immediately like, "Oh, he's talking about Wax's money." Like, but he did.
No,
get a lot
he
of
has money.
Yeah,
he
he did
does.
get a lot of money from the aluminum sale because
He
they
has a
got,
lot. Yeah, he also
makes
had a
sense.
lot from rewards. Like he could, even Wax said he could be rich, but he does give a lot of his money to the family.
yeah.
I was like that he is just like a kind character, and even though he had nothing to do with her father's death or
Yeah.
being item stolen, he's like, I'm gonna help you out
He
because
probably like immediately related to it when she's like, "You killed my father," and he even
Yeah.
said in that scene, he's like,
Definitely.
not me."
I thought he just ruined her father, but not. killed him.
Oh,
It was like
yeah,
Yeah.
ruined.
yeah, economically ruined her father. Or
but
whatever.
I
Same
really like
thing.
that scene and
Stole his
added,
research.
it really fleshed out a little bit of that story. For
Oh, I
Wayne.
thought that was awesome, and that I think definitely is going to be something that's going to come up in the next book, where she's going to be like their electronics tinkerer, and they're going to have like some technology. They're
Dude,
like, we've got two ways.
She's
to
gonna
do
be
it."
their electronic tinker.
They're gonna have an electronic tinkerer and a gunsmith now.
Exactly.
So they're gonna have all
full
kinds of
team.
tech. Yeah, this is gonna be like Avengers, man. This is great.
They're gonna have
plant the seed.
a weapon maker and an electric tinker.
Okay, Manny. Tis,
But those are my final thoughts that I wanted to add. that I
Nice.
just thought
Yeah,
of.
that
like
was such a good scene. I
good
love
final
Wayne.
thoughts, Hitman.
Yeah, I will say so. Final thoughts for me on this book is I think similar, like kind of what you said too, is that like that one little scene was just so good, and that is my almost final thought of this entire book. Is it felt like there were a lot of so like amazing small scenes. Just scenes that felt too small for me. Like the book was
I
really
only
good.
like a big and
I know.
deep.
Just like his pizza.
Just like my pizza. There's just so much like awesome stuff that needed to be fleshed out more. I just felt like it was a lot
Stop
of
pointing at me whenever you say that.
every time. It was a lot of really good stuff.
You guys, that was close.
A lot of really good
was
stuff.
really close.
Love the
Yeah.
book. Still gonna say I think it could have had a lot more in it. But a lot of really small, memorable scenes that were just amazingly done throughout the entire book.
So I have a final Brett bet.
Wait, what?
A final but
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it just came to me right now. I was thinking about something. So I was wondering about Sanderson writing this final book and the timing that he's choosing for it. And in the last book, Rhythm of War, we got some excerpts or some intros.
Are these going to
It
be a
seemed-
spoiler Brett bet, though?
Seemed to be from a journal from the Mistborn trilogy,
Okay.
which we talked about, right? So my final Brett bet is, will Harmony die?
Why won't Pokemon die?
In this era?
Yeah, what are you talking?
yeah.
Do you have a time frame?
Yeah.
It would have to be this era because I have no idea where Sanderson's going in the next.
Yeah.
So the 4 books of this series.
In the Wax and Wayne era.
I don't know, just like the reason I want to bring that up, like, is because it feels like the timing of everything, whether he maybe he doesn't or does or doesn't, but like it's like there's got to be something big happening.
I got a bet. I mean, my answer for this already.
Okay.
Let Jeff go first.
Jeff first.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna say no, but with a bonus drink or shot that he'll absorb the other god.
Ooh.
Trell.
So,
Ooh.
3 powers.
3 powers.
Oh, he'll
Because
be able to
Love
handle it.
triangle.
I feel like
Cheers. That was awesome.
And where does it happen?
yeah. On this.
On
On
the
the
gondola.
I feel like eventually with the secret
Everything happens
Cosmere
on the
books,
gondola.
like all the gods will like start combining throughout all.
Oh,
the series.
yeah.
And like that'll be like
Oh,
the
yeah.
secret
Oh, yeah.
Cosmere books. So,
And that's
Flesh
like
it out.
great point. I don't necessarily think it's gonna be Trell, or the one that we've got the hint about so far. But I do think he's gonna die eventually, because I think the ultimate Cosmere is there will be a back to Adonalsium
yeah.
type arc where the gods start combining back together. But I don't think it's gonna be. I say he's not gonna die in this era, and he's I won't comment on yours, but I don't think yours is gonna be true. I think
You don't think mine's gonna be true?
huh? No, his extra. bet.
Oh.
I mean,
no, my bet's
also,
no.
mine could go into the next eras too.
Yeah. You should play it safe. That's it.
Like, he's not gonna die in this era, but I feel like he's gonna absorb.
Absorb it. Does it have to be that one or another god? I guess it would have to be
whatever
that one.
god
yeah.
is in his universe.
Yeah.
I just want to drive the tension up because I feel like there's something big coming.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
what she said.
also going to go with no. But I'm going to join Ben in his bonus.
Nice.
So I'm going to go yes on the absorb the other dude.
So, I mean,
Maybe.
Sounds like this gonna become Cell.
Yeah.
Amy.
I don't think he's gonna die.
Okay. We're all. This is a community bet.
community
We're
bet.
all saying no.
We're gonna be running stat if it
Hey!
So we throw that out there mainly for I want to see what you guys think because this book's not out yet. Most of the encyclopedias have read way more than we have.
There's
so
one more book that's still out though, right?
There is one more.
Oh yeah, yeah, the gondola.
The one where he dies on the gondola.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Harmony dies on the gondola.
The whole climax of the book happens on the gondola.
Yeah.
I am now going to get a shirt and it's going to say everything happens on the gondola.
Yeah.
That's it.
What happens on the gondola stays in the gondola.
Stays in the gondola. Everything gondola. It's done. What do we have? We need to sell this.
But it's gonna be the opposite, Brett. It's gonna be what happens on the gondola does not stay
on
just
the
in
gondola.
There's gonna be no gondola in the next book.
I told you there's
I'm like really prepared for there to be no gondola. I'm gonna be like, dude, it seems like the fucking book's coming to an ending, but we haven't seen the gondola yet.
Dude, Brett's gonna just hear me like just randomly. All of a sudden, he's just gonna be doing his like training and stuff, and all of a sudden he's gonna hear, "Yes!" when the gondola scene happens. He's like, "It is there."
I knew it. Or it's not gonna be there, and he's just gonna hear me up in my room be like, Jeff, what the F?
You know what I like about this is now you fuckers are gonna expect a gondola the whole book.
I know.
It's gonna be a
I
gondola,
seriously am.
but now it's gonna be
I
like
know. It's just the whole wrong G word.
Yeah.
That would be on brand for Jeff.
Yeah.
Gazebo.
I don't think gazebo would work though because at a minimum, I thought this place was moving. So it's got
The moving gazebo.
yeah.
All right. So,
Anything else?
anything else? Any final thoughts, Manny?
No, I'm good.
Good.
I think we're good.
Why were you laughing then? All right.
So
Cheers.
good.
I'm like really excited. Whoa.
Whoa! Hang on.
All I was gonna say was I'm really excited for the next book.
All right,
and I'm
cheers to that.
happy. And I'm happy.
All right, cheers.
And I'm happy that I
cheers.
finished today because that ending was like so awesome
Yeah, it was awesome.
and such like a oh my god. It was like you guys said, it was like the first moment where I was truly like, oh my god, what happens next?
yeah.
And so I'm like really excited.
Cool.
All right.
Now we
And
cheers.
cheers.